Ugh, I hate his face. I hate his face. Oh my gosh. Oh, I know. The whole thing. I didn't watch his speech. I could not, for my life support, listening to that monster. Listen, Marco, I get why you didn't watch it. I'm watching it because I think it's important to debunk. I'm not going to be one of those people that's just like, oh, just ignore it, it'll go away. It's not going to go away. It needs to be pushed back on. It needs to be debunked. We need to be defended. The more you allow them to take the space, okay, the more you allow them to take up space and to dominate the narrative, the more marginalized the position that we're holding becomes. Grab your coffees, share the stream, like the stream, become a member at YouTube or become a member on Instagram, or one of the best is the one I prefer is become a member on my Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/IamBlakeley, or you can just donate to my Venmo. Or you can send a super chat, whatever. But yeah, let's start this and go through it. And listen, I'm going to be mad. I know I'm going to be mad. So I'm just letting you guys know. I know I'm going to be really, really mad watching this. But that's okay. We will be mad together. Yeah, exactly, Mohammed.
Jeffries. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Yikes.
Senator Ben Cardin. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Senators, members of Congress, distinguished guests. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy.
I'm surprised that he didn't burst into flames when he went in. Okay. Enough of this. Bro, enough of this. D-rhyme. Okay, stop. I got you. If you don't want to watch it, then you don't have to be here. We are watching it so that we can go over it and debunk it and talk about all the ways he lied, because it is important to push back on propaganda and not just ignore it so that they continue to own the narrative. They already have all the money. So stop putting that in my comments. Again, I'll give you a minute to leave if you don't want to watch it. Stop putting in my comments, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. Okay, then you don't have to watch it. But I am watching it. This is what this stream is for.
For the fourth time.
Right.
We meet today at a crossroads of history.
No,
Our
not
world
really.
is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization. It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify.
First of all, I already want to vomit that he is saying it's a clash of civilizations. Clash of civilizations. You're calling them uncivilized? Because make no mistake, he's talking about all Palestinians in this speech. You're calling them uncivilized? Seriously? Disgusting. Disgusting. And then he says, freedom and democracy
is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our...
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's another thing that everybody needs to understand. Iran's axis of evil confronts America. No, it doesn't. America is not under threat from Iran. Iran is not a threat to the United States. He says that because he wants to pull us into a war. He says that because he wants us to be a part of what he's cooking up. They are not a threat to us. They never have been. I haven't seen people sucking up like this in a long time. The North Koreans couldn't have. I know, dude. You're right. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy the way that they got up and clapped a million times like seals, getting up there, just clapping like seals. Like, it really does feel like North Korea. Okay, so yeah, first of all, right out of the gate, lies and tries to do the propaganda about Iran and how Iran is the axis of evil and how we need to be really, really scared because something Iran, and like they're not after us, they're after you because they want you to send your children or they want you to go and die for them. That's what's happening here. So let's just decode that really quick. Like, let's just decode that. They want you to go and die for their war because they want war with Iran. There is no axis of evil. Okay, that's literally made up. Yeah, Born, unfortunately, it's the same thing. Born, what you're saying about people in Iran being like the people who kept getting scammed, the people in America are exactly the same way. It's like they fall for this shit over and over and over again. Americans say, we don't want to go to war anymore. We don't want any wars, more wars in the Middle East. We're not going to go. We're going to not fall for it this time. And then Trump comes out and goes, oh, Iran's going to attack us. And idiot Americans completely are like, oh my gosh, you're right. Iran's coming for us. It's literally insane. It's totally insane. Okay. So yeah, right out the gate, we're not even 5 minutes in, and he's already lied and called Iran the axis of evil, saying they're a threat to us when they're not. Then he tries to marry both the United States and Israel together because, again, he wants us to go fight war in Iran for him. And then he calls Palestinians barbarians, says that it's barbarism, the Palestinians, but they're psychotic military that has carried out literal genocide in Gaza for the last almost 10 months in the most heinous and gruesome ways. So gruesome that you can't even post most of it on social media. That's not barbaric. That's the civilized world.
Arab friends, this is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Yeah, except you're on the side of barbarism.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life. For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together.
More of this propaganda. HK, I think that most people, at least people who are paying attention in the United States, understand this and want that too. Like, there are many of us that are not only just anti-war, but we understand what U.S. imperialism is doing, that we know that they just want to go to war and do Israel's bidding for them. That I know, and people like me know, that Iran is not a threat to us. That they don't hate us because they hate us, because these propagandists will always go, they try to fearmonger and scare Americans and say, oh, they hate you because they hate you, and they hate you because you're in the West, and whatever other lies they come up with. It's just disgusting. Just standing accusation, LMAO. They're such trees. I want also everybody to understand this, okay? Every single one of these lawmakers that is standing up and applauding him in his disgusting speech, I want you to understand this. They are all criminals who take bribes from the Israeli lobby, okay? All of our Congress, everyone that went to this, because there were some lawmakers that boycotted it, and Rashida Tlaib obviously being the exception. She is the only Palestinian American in Congress, and she went there to hold a war criminal sign, and I'm glad she did. All of these lawmakers are traitors to the United States. Do you understand? They're all paid. They're bribed. They are bribed. They are bribed and bought and paid for by the Israeli regime in order to legislate on their behalf and not the American people's. So understand that when you see it. When they're clapping like this, when they're standing up and clapping like seals, it is because they are paid to do so. They are paid to work on behalf of the regime, not us. And Elon Musk is there because Elon Musk is a simp. And they have something on him. Okay, this is my conspiracy theory or whatever. I don't know for sure. I just know it's true. They have something on him because why did he do a 180? Why did he do a 180? He was critical of their regime and then just like that did a 180. Is Elise Stefanik in the middle? Yeah, that's her right now. She's also a simp. They're all hacks. They're all bought and paid for. I need everybody to understand that. This clapping is not sincere. This clapping is not sincere. They do this because they receive millions and millions and millions of dollars from this foreign lobby in order to do what they want. They are crooks. They are traitors to the United States. In fact, they care more about simping for this regime so that they can get the money than they do about their own citizens. Because we were out there protesting outside this Capitol, and they cheered when he called people like me a terrorist or a terrorist sympathizer. When we were just protesting. We were just protesting the genocide in Gaza. We were protesting that he was there. We were protesting because there is a warrant out for his arrest that the ICC has put out, and he's calling us terrorist sympathizers, and they cheered that. So I want you to understand this too, if you are an American citizen. They hate you. Do you understand? Like your Congress, your lawmakers, they hate you. They have no respect for you. They will call us names and try to stifle our free speech and our First Amendment in order to protect this criminal, this war criminal.
Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
Thank you, Data. Do we really need all this fake clapping?
And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing. We will win.
What does that mean? What does we will win mean? Win what? You're committing a genocide. You're not in a war. Win what? Do you mean taking the rest of their land? Do you mean taking the rest of their land? Is that what you mean? I heard Netanyahu's bitch ass didn't get much sleep last night at Watergate. No, he did not. No, he did not, because the protesters made it very uncomfortable for him. Yeah. I just like how he says we will win as if this is some kind of actual like even war when it's not. Exactly, methodical madness. That clapping that they're doing is not for Netanyahu. They're doing it because those AIPAC and the other lobbies that give them money. You know, that's who they're really clapping for. They're clapping for their bosses, the lobbyists. John Fetterman finally decided to dress up for his real boss, Netanyahu. He never
Ladies
was,
and gentlemen,
now he does.
Like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001,
oh my
October
God.
7th
Shut
is a
up.
day that will forever live in infamy.
Stop trying.
It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah.
Stop trying to make this happen. A day that will live in infamy. He's trying to compare October 7th to 9/11 and Pearl Harbor. Shut up. Shut up.
Perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis were celebrating at an outdoor music festival. And suddenly,
at an outdoor music festival just a few meters away from a concentration camp. But go on.
At 6:29 a.m., as children were still sleeping soundly in their beds in the towns and kibbutzim next to Gaza, suddenly heaven turned into hell. 3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 41 countries, including 39 Americans.
First of all, it wasn't 1,200 people, because in the same way that you don't count Hamas when you're doing the calculations and the count of Palestinian casualties, then you don't get to count the soldiers. It was about 800 civilians, as I understand it. About 400 of them were IOF soldiers. Yeah, and there's already so much sussery happening around this. Because again, why did it take you 4 hours to respond? Actually, I think it was longer than 4. I think it might have been 6 hours before they responded.
Proportionately, compared to our population size, that's like 20 9/11s in one day.
No, it's not.
And these monsters, they raped women.
Nope.
They beheaded men.
Nope.
They burnt babies alive.
Nope.
They killed parents in front of their children.
Nope.
And children in front of their parents.
Nope.
They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. Israel has already brought home.
I'm amazed that they're still allowing this. All of those lies that he just told have already been debunked by Israeli media. Literally. There have been article after article after article in places like Haaretz, which is an Israeli news outlet, debunking their mass rape hoax lies and propaganda, debunking the beheaded babies propaganda, the burnt babies, all of that, the pregnant woman one with the baby cut out or whatever it was, they said all of that was made up. They literally made that up. And then months later, some within a few days, like the burnt baby one was debunked within a few days, has been thoroughly discredited, has been thoroughly debunked by Israeli media, by some good reporters in American media, like at the Gray Zone and the Electric Intifada. Even the UN report says that they don't have evidence for that. They don't have any evidence for their claims. And one of the reasons why they don't is because they refuse to cooperate with an investigation. The UN wanted to do an investigation into their claims of mass rape, and they would not let them. They would not cooperate with an investigation, an independent investigation. All of that was an insane lie made up out of whole cloth. Actually, not out of whole cloth. I think where they got the idea is because that's what they do to Palestinians. And you can look it up. You can fact check it. These are the facts, Jack. If you look up all of the propaganda hoaxes that he repeats here, you will find a story of them doing it to Palestinians. You will find a story somewhere in the history of Palestine, whether it's from shortly after the Nakba happened or whether it was recently. You will find that every accusation is a confession. Every accusation is a confession. Everything that they said and that he is saying right now that they did is what they do to Palestinians. There are articles that have come out recently about mass rapes occurring to Palestinian boys and men in their prisons. Stories about burning Palestinians alive. There was recently a photo, and we have seen many of them, of literal Palestinian beheaded babies. So he is taking the trauma and the war crimes that have been committed against the people of Gaza and the Palestinians and Israeling it, trying to co-opt it for himself, trying to use it as a pretext, because we all know why they did this. We all know why he continues to lie about this, even though it was already debunked by the UN and by the media, including media in Israel. Why he continues to do that. He does it because they want to foment hate against the Palestinians. Because it sounds very unpopular and isn't really a good selling point to say, hey, let's just go and slaughter a bunch of innocent Palestinians, civilians. Yeah, that doesn't sound very good. So you need to make up stories to make them sound brutal. You need to make up stories to make them sound barbaric. That way you can manufacture consent. You can manufacture consent and make it more palatable to people to wipe them out. Because after all, who's going to feel sorry for somebody who commits war crimes like that? Who? No one's going to feel sorry for somebody who gets killed who commits heinous war crimes. And that's why they manufactured all these stories. They manufactured consent because they wanted regular people. Again, a lot of these are not directed. This propaganda is not directed at people who are politically informed. It's directed at just random regular people that don't actually really pay attention. And they want to elicit disgust in the minds of voters and in the minds of the American public and governments around the world. They want to elicit that disgust so that when they carry out genocide against the Palestinians, these innocent civilians, there will be uninformed people that go, oh, well, I don't really care that they did that because after all, they committed all these war crimes against Israelis. That's why they do it. That's why they make up these lies. And where he got them ideas was from the war crimes that they committed against the Palestinians. That's where he came up with his ideas from, about his mass atrocity propaganda hoaxes.
135 of these hostages, including 7 who were freed in daring rescue operations.
7 who were freed during rescue operations? That's cute, because the largest amount of hostages that were freed happened during a ceasefire negotiation, a temporary ceasefire. That was where the majority of the hostages were returned. They killed a hostage, one of their own hostages during that operation. That massacre, that was a massacre, was a bloodbath of Palestinians that they killed to get those 7 hostages that were all like literally did not look like they had been in an area that wasn't getting food aid in. Like none of them were underweight. Freed. Man, John Fetterman, what an awful person.
One of those freed hostages, Noor Gamani, is here in the gallery, sitting near my wife, Sarah. On the morning...
Of course he brought her. Bro, they're such creeps. You know why he brought her? He brought her because she was the prettiest. That's why he brought her. Because she was a woman and she was pretty and young. To try to like make people be like, oh my gosh. You guys remember how they lied and like made up all these atrocity propaganda hoaxes and was claiming that all the people that if they did come out, the hostages, that they were going to be pregnant? Remember that? They were going to say that they were like 9 months pregnant. Yeah, I remember that. Absolutely the worst. You guys just, yeah.
On the morning of October 7th, the entire world saw Noah's look of desperation as she was violently abducted to Gaza on the back of a motorcycle. I met Noah's mother, Leora, a few months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said to me, Prime Minister, I have one final wish. I wish to hug my daughter Noah one last time before I die. 2 months ago, I authorized a breathtaking commando rescue operation.
Oh, trying to be a hero.
Forces, including a heroic officer named Arnon's Mora, who fell in this battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages.
Noah, clapping.
I think it's one of the most moving things. When Noah was reunited with her mother, Leora, and her mother's last wish came true. Noah, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. Thank you.
Propaganda. Oh my gosh, how much of this is clapping? Is this going to be like
many hostage families are also here with us today, including Eliyahu Bibas. Eliyahu Bibas is the grandfather of those 2 beautiful red-headed boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers. And they were taken hostage with their mother and Noah's.
Again, see what I mean? How they brought her because she's like pretty and they wanted to like elicit emotion. That's why they brought the hostage family of the 2 young boys, because those were the kids and they wanted to be like, oh my gosh, look at how horrible they are that they took kids. It's like, you guys do realize that you in Congress here, that they've killed over 25,000 children in Gaza? What about those kids? I will continue to ask the question, why aren't Palestinians given the right to defend themselves? What about the Palestinians' right to defend themselves? What about Palestine's right to exist? No one can answer that. Because if they answered that, they would have to admit that they don't think Palestine and Palestinians have the right to exist.
And Eliyahu's son, the entire family was taken hostage. 2 beautiful red-haired children taken hostage. What monsters.
Yeah, exactly, Zul.
And with us also is Iris Chaim, whose son, Yotam, bravely escaped Hamas captivity with 2 other Israelis. And tragically, they were killed, making their way back to our lands. We have with us also the families of American hostages.
You don't care about the hostages. Like, you don't.
The pain these families have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday.
You don't care.
And I promised them this. I will not rest until all their loved ones are home.
Lies. And you know what? Even Israelis know it's a lie. That's why people who in Israel keep protesting him, because they know it's a lie. They know that he's only dragging this out for 2 reasons. Number 1 reason, he doesn't want to face the consequences or an investigation that would surely need to happen should he be ousted or step down. Number 2, other reason why he doesn't want this to end, because this isn't about Hamas. They're not trying to eradicate Hamas. They never were, and you never will. What they are trying to do is steal what is left of the Palestinian land. That is what they are doing. I will not rest until they're back. You literally don't care. Oh my gosh. And I have to make it go a little faster because I can't even with all the clapping. They clap for like 9 years and I already have it on 1.25 speed. Let's try 1.5. Too long of clapping.
All of it.
I'm so disgusted. Our Congress is vile. Like the swamp It is such actually an apt name and should not just be used when talking about Trump. This swamp is just so disgusting. It's dripping with criminality. Every single one of these criminals that just sit around and take bribes from the Israeli regime, from corporations, from big pharma, from foreign governments, they're disgusting. Our Congress is disgusting. Sitting there clapping like seals. And not only did they clap like seals, again, I remind you again, if you are an American citizen, they hate you. They hate you. They have absolutely no respect for you if you are a citizen. That's why they cheered as he smeared those of us who were outside protesting. That's why they cheered as he was calling us terrorist sympathizers and lying and saying we're being funded by Iran. Because they hate you. They hate me. They don't have any respect for their own citizens. It's just, where's my check? That's why they only legislate on behalf of foreign governments, corporations, and the billionaire class. That's why they don't do anything for you. They don't do anything for you. All they do is legislate on behalf of billionaires, corporations, and foreign governments and lobbies. Because all they care about is maintaining their own power and getting rich in the process. They do not care about you. They have no respect for you. I don't care how much you like your congressperson. They hate you. Like, understand that. Just understand that. By the way, if you are an American citizen, all 435 seats of Congress are up for re-election this year. All of them. All of them should be voted out. All of them, with the exception of Rashida Tlaib, should be voted out. If you are an American citizen, I don't care what side of the aisle you are on, you should vote against every single one of these creeps in November. I don't care if you're planning on voting for president or not. Vote down ticket. Vote third party. Write in someone. But you absolutely should vote for your Congress member and at the local level and vote against them. They need, they're at a certain point, there needs to be consequences.
As we speak, we're actively engaged in intensive efforts to secure their release.
No, you're not.
And I'm confident that these efforts can succeed. Some of them are taking place right now.
Lies.
I want to thank President Biden for his tireless efforts on behalf of the hostages and for his efforts to the hostage families as well. I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th. He rightly called...
Man with a long last name, are you American? Because if you're American, then not only can you vote without voting for president, you just leave that blank or you write in someone and then you vote down ballot. Your ballot will have all the local elections and elections for your Congress members.
Called Hamas sheer evil.
Hamas.
He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten.
Yeah, you're right, boo-boo. We won't forget it.
President Biden and I have known each other for over 40 years. I want to thank him for half a century of friendship to Israel and for being, as he says, a proud Zionist. Actually, he says a proud Irish-American Zionist.
That's true. Biden did say that. He did say he was a proud American, Irish-American Zionist. First of all, what I actually like is how like people in Ireland hate Biden. People who actually live in Ireland who are like overwhelmingly pro-Palestinian. That's why he attacks Ireland all the time. And the propagandists in the Israeli regime are always attacking Ireland and saying that they're Hamas because Ireland is overwhelmingly pro-Palestinian and totally denounces Biden for trying to invoke his Irish heritage while defending this. It's also another reminder that no matter what these liars say, any of these liars, that Zionism is an ideology. They're constantly trying to conflate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. Zionism is an ideology that anyone can subscribe to. That's why Biden, who is Irish American and Catholic, subscribes to that ideology. So thank you for reminding everybody of that.
Friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless courage.
With
us today.
Boundless courage as they like hide. And like, yes, you're right, sir.
Is Lieutenant Avichai Reuven.
Okay, you know what I love? I love I love how he goes, has shown boundless courage. Yeah, you're right. It is so courageous to just press a button and drop bombs on people. Oh, the courage. Oh, the courage. Yes. No, bro. Courage is just being a Palestinian and living every day, surviving that. Oh my gosh, the courage, LOL. Ew.
Again, is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers.
Do you guys see how I told you to notice? I told you guys to notice how they place propaganda images in order to affect people's consciousness. So I said that a minute ago. They purposely place certain words and images and propaganda in order to subconsciously affect you. And that is the reason why all the IOF soldiers that they brought are people of color. That's why they did that. They didn't even, like, the majority of the IOF soldiers that are standing there are people of color. And they did that because they want to confuse people into who is the oppressor in this scenario and who is the oppressed. Because they know that Americans are so dumb that a lot of times we can't look outside of the American perspective. And in America, it's usually, oh, well, you know, it's always oppressed versus oppressor, and the white are the oppressor and the brown are the oppressed. So they do this on purpose because they know that Americans cannot see outside of our own context when it comes to race relations. So they bring a bunch of people of color to go, look, guys, look, we're not oppressors. There's a brown guy. There's an Arab. There's an Ethiopian IOF soldier. Don't be fooled.
Avichai is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia. In the early hours of October 7th, Avichai...
Bro, did you not hear me just call it? Did you guys hear me just call it? Okay? Did you guys not hear me just call it? I have not watched this. I'm watching it with you guys for the first time. And I just called it. I said how they exploit their, like, they try to exploit the fact that they have people of color and Black Ethiopian Israelis as a way to try to, like, confuse people. And right after I said that, he goes, oh, see, he's immigrated from Ethiopia. What did I tell you?
Heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car. So he ran 8 miles to the front lines of Gaza to defend his people.
How many hours in? How many hours would it have been before he decided he was going to do that? Did he go get coffee first? Did he work out and go to the gym and then go to lunch?
He ran
it was
8
hours.
miles, came to the front lines, killed many terrorists, and saved many, many lives. Avichai.
Okay, but it was like 6 hours
heroism.
Before you responded.
Another Israeli is with us here today, and he's stand up right next to Avichai. This is Master Sergeant Ashraf al-Bakhiri. Ashraf is a Bedouin soldier from the Israeli Muslim community of Rat. On October 7th, Ashraf too killed many terrorists. First, he defended his comrades in the military base.
Israeli Muslim. Okay, I forgot about that because you guys noticed that they will not acknowledge that Arabs in that are living within the Israeli regime are Palestinian. They just call them Arabs. So I don't know if that guy's Palestinian or not, but
and he wished to defend the neighboring communities, including the devastated community of Kibbutz Be'eri. Like Ashraf.
I'm sorry. You mean some of the kibbutzes that you guys brought a
like Ashraf,
helicopter?
The Muslim soldiers of the IDF fought alongside their Jewish, Druze, Christian, and other comrades in arms with tremendous bravery.
I like how you just say that this is like an open society and open democracy. Like it's not an ethno state.
A third hero, Lieutenant Asa Sofer, is also here with us.
Thank you, Doctora, from Instagram.
Asa fought as an officer in the Tank Corps, and he was wounded in battle. He was wounded in battle while protecting his fellow soldiers from a grenade.
Okay, how many more lies are we going to have
and the vision in his left eye.
Go through him? He's
recovering.
Lie about the
and incredibly,
soldiers.
Within a short time, Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company.
Like, that's what he's doing. You guys are so brave.
I just learned there's a fourth hero here. Lieutenant
I just learned that I like how he's pretending that this is like he just realized it, you know, like this wasn't absolutely planned. Like, please.
We lost a leg in Gaza and continue to fight.
You mean they want us to think that these people are heroic, as if we didn't see footage and video of them sicking a dog on a Palestinian who had Down syndrome, killing him. We're supposed to believe that they're brave? I think these people fail to realize that we have internet. I think they do. They think that this is 2001 and that we don't have social media.
My friends, these are the soldiers of Israel. Unbowed, undaunted, unafraid.
Unafraid? Unafraid? You guys won't even leave your tanks. You won't even leave your tanks. Hey, Saeed. Oh, that's so sweet. Saeed gifted 20 memberships. So, if you are in here and you are not a member, you can now become a member because Saeed, in a very beautifully generous way, gifted 20 memberships. Thank you so much, Saeed. And for those of you who take a membership, make sure to say thank you to Saeed, please. That is so sweet. Mohammed Behar, the Palestinian with Down syndrome. That's so sweet. Yeah, that was one of the more difficult videos to watch and to read about, was that story. That was really hard to watch and to read. Just imagining he called the dog Habibi. Honestly, that one was really hard. The lack of humanity that these soldiers have to do something like that to such a vulnerable person. And then they want us to believe that they're heroes, that they're brave. Get out of here. Get out of here. Disgusting. Despicable. Despicable. These people are not the most moral army in the world. They're the most cowardly that I have ever seen. And I am not just saying that because I oppose their regime. Even putting it from just a factual perspective, because I oppose the things that our military does in the United States. But our military here in the United States, they're not the Israeli regime. Their military is a joke. They make our military look like the smartest and most moral people, even though I know ours is not. They're clowns. They're like simultaneously evil and clownish at the same time. They're cowards. They attack children and women and the elderly and babies. These people are not brave. Don't get it twisted.
As the Bible says, Am klavi yakum. They shall rise like lions. They have risen like lions. The lions of Judah, the lions of Israel.
Oh, did you copy and paste that? Did you look that up before you came out? Gag.
Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the IDF come from every corner of Israeli society. Every ethnicity, every color, every creed, left and right, religious and secular.
I think what you meant by that is, for again, another lie, pretending like they live in this multiracial, free society. This is an ethno-state. This is an apartheid regime. They call themselves a Jewish state. Like, they're not even hiding the ball on this. Like, they call themselves a Jewish state. This is not a democracy. This is not a free society. There's literal walls oppressing the Palestinians. But he wants to make it seem like, because again, this is for an American audience. And Benjamin Miliakowski is actually American himself, so he knows how to talk to Americans. He knows how to lie to Americans. He knows how to do propaganda. He knows what Americans want to hear. And Americans like to hear about multiracial democracy and freedom of religion, melting pots, equity, equality. Americans love to hear that. And he knows that, which is the reason why he's doing it. Because they're not a multiracial free society. It's an ethno-state and an apartheid regime. And he goes, they're from all over. They're from everywhere. Well, a lot of them are from America. And then they just went there and took someone's house. But we don't have to talk about it. You don't want to talk about that, do you, Benny?
With the indomitable spirit of the Maccabees, the legendary Jewish warriors of antiquity.
LOL.
Is Yechiel Leiter, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yechiel's father escaped the Holocaust and found refuge in America. As a young man, Yechiel moved to Israel and raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son Moshe after his late father.
Okay, I don't
Moshe became an exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own.
Boring.
On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later, he was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yechiel said this: if the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel, Yechiel continued, because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies.
Palestine didn't exist and it wasn't there already. Again, this is more weaponization of the Holocaust in order to justify an excuse.
Yechiel, please rise so we can honor your sacrifice. And I pledge to you and to all the bereaved families of Israel, some of whom are in this hall today, the sacrifice of your loved ones will not be in vain.
Isn't it though?
It will not be in vain, because for Israel, never again must never be an empty promise. It must always remain a sacred vow. And
never
after
again
7th,
for who?
Never again is now.
Never again is now for who? If you don't mean the Palestinians. Yeah, can we be clear about who never again is for and who it's not for? Because never again clearly doesn't apply to the Palestinians who are getting systemically wiped out right now. Never again for who? Yeah, when we said never again, what he's saying is, when we said never again, we only meant for us, not for you. We can go and take your land and kill everybody on it, and that's fine. We meant never again for us. That's what he's saying. Also, I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. I actually think that Netanyahu doesn't actually care about the Jewish people or keeping them safe. Because if he really did, why would he be doing this? Like, all he has done is made the Israeli regime toxic around the world. You want to talk about reputational damage? And all he's done is actually invoked more anti-Semitism because he has married and made what it means to be Jewish and what it means with the Israeli regime. So there are people all over the place. I saw a ton of Jewish people at the protest yesterday protesting against Netanyahu, people from Jewish Voices for Peace, people from Not in Our Name protesting against him. And something they say, and they are right about, is this regime actually makes Jewish people less safe, because what it does is it conflates them with that state. So if you really cared, why would you do that?
Brutal enemies requires both courage and clarity. Clarity begins by knowing the difference between good and evil.
I do. You are evil.
Many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the...
They stand with Hamas. First of all, I do know the difference between good and evil. You are evil. You are evil. So yes, I do actually know the difference between good and evil. Also, I would like to point out to everybody that he is specifically talking about people like me here and people like you who went to the protest. He's talking about us because there were so many of us outside yesterday chanting, "Arrest Netanyahu. He's a war criminal." And so he's calling us evil. But that's fine. I don't mind, because I'm not going to accept being called evil from Satan. Okay? No, not today, Satan. I rebuke you. All right, let me move this down a little bit. Okay. Wait, no. Oh, okay.
Kibbutzim, into a home. The parents hid the children, the two babies, in the attic, in a secret attic.
More
they
lies.
Murder the families, the parents. They find the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies.
News.
These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
You get a standing ovation. Again, he's getting a standing ovation by our Congress as he attacks us, American citizens exercising our constitutional rights to protest. That's what he's doing right there, and that's what our Congress is doing. They are giving him a standing ovation for lying about us, for smearing us. All of those of us outside, including a bunch of Jewish people. There were so many Jewish people at that protest yesterday protesting against Netanyahu and his genocide. He is smearing all of us and calling us pro-terrorists and saying that we stand with evil, and our Congress members cheer him. Absolutely disgusting. These people are vile. They're disgusting. And I'm going to need you, if you are an American citizen, to vote against them. I'm going to need you to vote. I'm going to need you to vote them out and vote against them. They need to be held accountable for this. Too long. Long ass clap and standing ovation for smearing your constituents. Insane.
They refuse to make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians, between the Democratic State of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas. We recently...
Hamas. Okay, we should have... Yeah, somebody should have started a shot game. Take a shot every time he says Hamas. They refuse to see the difference between terrorists and civilians. That's really funny projection, because you refuse to see the difference. You call everyone a terrorist. You call all Palestinians, including babies and incubators, terrorists. So that's really funny. Talk about projection. Every accusation is a confession.
Learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
Nope.
So these protesters burn America.
Fake news, fake news, fake news. That's not happening. It's not a thing. The protest that happened yesterday and all the protests, the college protests, all of that, we're paying for it ourselves. First of all, it doesn't cost that much money to protest, but you do have to spend money, like if you want to get there. Like for me, for example, yesterday when we went to the protest, a bunch of us got together, we rented a car, we split the bill. We obviously had to eat while we were there, and we needed to pay for gas. Like, we paid for it ourselves. I didn't, I checked my Venmo, and I did not see any money from Hamas and or the Iranian regime. I didn't see it. Okay? Yet, again, he just lies. He just lies and smears. And some might call it blood libel, telling me as an American citizen that I'm not allowed to protest in my own country. He's coming here. This demon is coming here to my country and telling me that I can't protest his genocidal regime and the war crimes and atrocities that he is committing on the people of Gaza. You're telling me that I can't do that. You're telling me that. And then you're actually telling me that I'm getting funded by Iran. Again, I told you guys this at the beginning. I said at the beginning, they are only saying this because every accusation is a confession, and the only people that are defending the regime are people who are paid to. So again, every accusation is a confession, and they accuse those of us who are protesting and oppose this of being paid because they pay people. That's why. They pay people to defend their regime. So they assume that we do because they accuse those of us. They accuse us of the things that they do. That's number one. Number two, I just think it's funny that he is calling us those names in our country, and our Congress is cheering it. No evidence needed, of course. No evidence needed. I mean, the nerve of him to come into our country and talk like that about us, about our citizens. But again, I guess it doesn't, he felt very comfortable doing it, number one, because he's not, he's actually American. He's from Pennsylvania. But I guess the second thing is he knows that there's a bunch of paid simps that are going to stand and clap like seals in the audience, no matter how much he lies. So that's where that
American flags, even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag. Protected the American
burning the American flags. First of all, I'll say this part again. Burning the American flag is constitutionally protected speech in the United States. We are allowed to burn the American flag. This has already been adjudicated at the Supreme Court. It is part of our First Amendment right. That's number one. Number two, the person who burned the flag yesterday was an op. It wasn't even somebody that was part of our protest. It was an op.
American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
Shut up.
For all we know, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. Not that many, but they're there and throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
That's so pathetic. Embarrassing the cheers that they got. So embarrassing the cheers that they got. You have become Iran's useful idiots. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of everybody saying that this reminds me of when everybody was saying that anyone who criticized the warmongering with Russia was a puppet of Putin. It's the same thing over and over again. You're a Putin puppet. So now they want to say that anybody protesting against the genocide in Gaza that they're carrying out is a puppet of Iran. I have a message for the protesters. Okay, because again, he's talking about me there because I was one of the protesters outside. And he goes, I have a message for you. First of all, I don't care what you think. You're a demon. I don't care what you think. Get out of my country. How about that? How about get the fuck out of my country? I don't give a fuck what you think. How about that? Also, I like how he's like, people who throw gays off roofs and make women cover their hair. Wait. So you're saying that, first of all, gay marriage isn't even legal in the Israeli regime. So I love that they always try to use like gay rights as a tool in order to attack Palestinians as if they even have gay marriage. Second of all, I just love that it's all something gay rights, something women having to be covered because they care so much about women's rights and that's why they keep killing women. Right, you care so much about women's rights, that's why you keep killing them. Also, no one needs to worry about whether or not a gay person is going to be killed because you're killing people indiscriminately, whether they're gay or straight or old or young or men or women or babies. You're right, Netanyahu. You guys really don't discriminate. You don't discriminate against anyone that you slaughter. I have a message for you. I don't care. I literally don't care. Oh my gosh, such a free. We're such good Debbie Watson and Schultz giving them a standing ovation. You're such a free.
Some of these protesters.
I really wish.
Absolutely amazing. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
He really thought that he nailed it there. First of all, that part's so embarrassing. He literally is he's using something that they've used over and over again. It's actually in the Zionist propaganda playbook to say gays for Gaza is like chickens for KFC. Funny, right? Right? Chickens for KFC. You got it? They have one joke. They think he really thinks he nailed it there. It's amazing. Chickens for KFC. Gotcha. No, you understand what the gays or for Gaza means and queers for Palestine? It is not because gay people or queer people in this country don't understand that there are people in Palestine that have radically different views than we do here in the United States. The point is to say that what the queers for Palestine are saying and what gays for Gaza are saying is we understand that human dignity and that people have human rights, regardless of what their beliefs are or who they are. And you cannot strip people of their human dignity and human rights just because of what they believe or who they are. That is the point. But he doesn't get that because he's a psychopath and a sociopath and a murderer.
From the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about.
I like how, do you guys notice how he really wasn't passionate the entire speech until he started attacking American protesters? You notice that? He didn't start getting really jazzed or really into it until he started attacking the protesters, the American protesters. That's really funny. And telling, he hates you. You know what I love? This is what I want you guys to understand too, if you're an American citizen. You are paying, your tax dollars are going to all of this so that this narcissistic sociopath, entitled welfare queen can demand more of our money while he insults us. Understand that if you are an American taxpayer. If you're an American taxpayer, this narcissistic, sociopathic ghoul, this entitled welfare bum, is taking our money while he spits in our face. He is taking our money while he spits in our face and criticizes us while taking our money. Okay.
They not only get an F in geography. These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about.
The Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. But you're going to cry about that, even though From the River to the Sea is also in the Likud charter, but go off.
They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history.
Embarrassing. He really thinks he's cooking here. He really thinks he's like, yeah, I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. Don't forget, I'm on a roll of making fun of Americans. He's making fun of American citizens while demanding our money.
They call Israel a colonialist state? Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled?
I'm sorry. That's not a contradiction. That's not a contradiction. It is a colonial state. You think that just because 500,000 years ago, once upon a time, someone lived there, that means that you get to go back thousands of years later as people are already living there, kill them and steal their shit? Yeah, that's not how it works. Otherwise, I'd be able to just go to Ireland because a couple hundred years ago, my ancestors lived there, knock on someone's door and say, hi, I live here now. Yeah, that's not how it works. I don't give a fuck what it said 3,000, 4,000 years ago. That's not how our current nation states work. Oh my gosh. It's just so cringe. It's so delusional.
For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home.
Now you're just making shit up.
It's not only the campus protesters who get it wrong. It's also the people who run those campuses. 80 years after the Holocaust. 80 years after the Holocaust.
Again,
the presidents of Harvard,
the Holocaust again.
And I'm ashamed to say, my alma mater, MIT, couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews.
First of all, again, fact check. No one called for the genocide of Jews. Literally no one. Literally no one. That's made up. That never happened. They accuse people of what they're doing. So while they are genociding the Palestinians, they accuse people on college campuses of calling for genocide of Jews, which never happened. No one called for the genocide of the Jews. He made that up. I do like, though, how he says my alma mater, MIT, because he's American.
Remember what they said? They said, it depends on the context. Well, let me give these befuddled academics a little context. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred. For centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by...
like how he thinks that he's so, like, badass. It's amazing. He thinks he's so bad. Let me give him a little education. Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, my gosh. He's so embarrassing. Actually demonic.
Wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells to spreading plagues to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs.
Oh, okay. So you mean kind of like all the lying and smearing you're doing to the Palestinians? You don't like when people lie about you? Like kind of like how you keep lying about the Palestinians? You mean like that?
These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust. Now, just
worst genocide, the Holocaust. Again, there has actually been a lot of genocides in the world, but we always say that the Holocaust is somehow unique, as if other genocides didn't happen. What about all the other genocides? The reason why they say that and the reason why they teach that the way they do in the United States is because they want to ensure that we continue to send the money that we send and hold the opinion that we have so that we never question the regime. We learn more about the Holocaust when we're in school in the United States than we even learn about slavery, which is much more connected to our history here. Or the Native American genocide. Yeah, none of that. And that doesn't mean I don't think it's not important to learn about the Holocaust. It is important, and I'm glad I learned about it. But why was it that, like, we had Holocaust Remembrance Week when I was in junior high? Not that I went to school for that long, but while I was, we had Holocaust Remembrance Week. We watched documentaries about it. We read books about it. Didn't really get any of that when it came to, like, the Native American genocide, or there was like one chapter about slavery in the history book, I remember. And then we kind of just like moved on.
His malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people. Malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. No, don't applaud. Listen. The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant.
I love that. He just like tells his little bitches to not applaud. Listen. I love that. He's like, shut up, bitch, and listen, because I own you. I own you. My lobby owns you. Don't applaud. Listen. Oh my gosh, amazing. He's telling his dogs to shut up.
To delegitimize Israel, to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere.
I thought it was a democracy.
No wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world. My friend, whenever...
There has been a rise in anti-Semitism around the world. And you know whose fault that is? Yours and your state. Also, you need to really be careful when you look at the statistics that they put out about anti-Semitism. Like, first of all, ADL, you should never trust anything that comes out of the ADL. It's a garbage propaganda organization that lies all the time and is racist and anti-Arab. But number two, another thing that they do is they will consider any tip that somebody calls of like somebody saying free Palestine is an anti-Semitic attack. Like, they'll clock anything as anti-Semitic. Like, you can call the ADL and be like, I saw a sticker of a Palestinian flag. And they'll be like, oh, anti-Semitic incident. That's why they say it's up 400%. Because of that. But again, that doesn't mean that there hasn't been a rise in anti-Semitism in the world and in the United States. There has been. And that lays right at the feet of this genocidal lunatic monster who has tried to make himself synonymous with what it means to be Jewish to his psychotic state. Yeah, when you try to tie all Jewish people in the world to your lunatic state, it's going to cause anti-Semitism. Whose fault is that?
And wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism.
Also, yeah, I also don't take seriously whenever they say that anymore because they literally call everything and anything anti-Semitic. Nari just reminded me, they literally called God anti-Semitic. Like, when you start saying everything and anything I don't like, including God and the podium and the front door and the mat and the cat, it's all anti-Semitic. It starts to kind of wear thin.
We must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it, without exception.
Yeah, Malgazada. on Instagram said because they think that anti-Semitism is a fluid word.
When the blood libels against the Jewish state
when needed. Exactly.
come from people who wear fancy silk robes and speak in lofty tones about law and justice. Here's a case in point. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication.
Also, the ICC has rightfully charged you with that. You are starving them. But you know what I love? Our Congress clapping as he attacks the prosecutor at the ICC. What happened to law and order? What happened to law and order? What happened to democracy? What happened to we uphold international law and norms and values and the rule of law? We care about rule of law. What happened? What happened to that? Because you guys are cheering him as he lies on and smears the head of the ICC. It's almost like you don't actually care about international law. It's almost like you don't actually care about norms and about rule of law and about justice and about democracy like you say you do. It's almost like it's a big fat lie.
Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's 500,000 tons of food. And that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza.
Lies.
If there are Palestinians in Gaza who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it. It's because Hamas is stealing it.
It's because of Hamas. Oh my gosh, it's literally a meme. It's a meme. It's because of Hamas.
So much for that lie. But here's another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians.
True.
What in God's green earth is he talking about?
The truth.
The IDF has dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. But at the same time...
Out of harm's way where? First of all, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, rules-based order Lamau. You know what I love? Him going, they have sent millions of flyers or whatever. Oh no, not the flyers. How kind of you that you send a flyer to let a besieged population that's literally trapped in a cage know that you're about to kill them. How polite of you. The Palestinians are trapped in a cage. They can't get out. There's no way to escape Gaza. There's no safe place in Gaza. They can't get into Egypt. They can't get into northern Israel. They are trapped in a concentration camp. So when they brag about how they put flyers down and told them to get out, to evacuate, to where? To where? What they've actually been doing is sending them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, down from northern Gaza to central Gaza to southern Gaza. And then wherever the civilians go, they bomb it. They just ordered 400,000 Palestinians to evacuate and then immediately started bombing it. They have been doing bombing after bombing after bombing for the last couple of weeks. They have been ramping up the bombings in the last couple of weeks on Gaza, telling hundreds of thousands, millions of Palestinians to evacuate when they know they have nowhere to go. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. But yeah, keeps lying. And what the ICC said is absolutely true. They are targeting civilians. There has been more than enough evidence to show that they've been targeting civilians.
Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way.
Hamas.
They fire rockets from schools, from hospitals, from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave the war zone. A senior Hamas official, Fatih Hamad, boasted. Listen to this. He boasted. That Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For Hamas, it's a strategy. They actually want Palestine.
Lies. They are the ones who use human shields. They are the ones who use human shields. It's not when they say, oh, Hamas fires rockets, which, by the way, understand that their rockets are literally nothing in comparison to the armaments that the Israeli regime has. Because of the blockade on Gaza, the rockets that Hamas actually has are like makeshift. And the reason why, when they say they hide amongst civilians, they're not hiding. It's literally, if you're in a cage, if you're in a concentration camp and you can't get out, where are you supposed to go? Are they supposed to do it from a plane? They have no airport. They have no airport. They're not allowed to go anywhere. So where do you expect them to go? It's the Israeli regime that uses people as human shields. Don't forget that.
Palestinian civilians to die, so that Israel will be smeared in the international media and be pressured to end the war before it's won. This would enable Hamas to survive another day, to carry out October 7th again and again and again. Well, I want to assure you, no matter what pressure is brought to bear, I will never allow that to happen.
I like how it's all badass. I will never allow that to happen. Did you let it happen in the first place? I like how it's all, I will never allow that to happen again. Bro, how about you answer why you allowed it to happen in the first place? Yeah, I know. They don't care. Not only have they used Palestinians as human shields, they've used Israelis as human shields. But also, I would like to know why he's getting a standing ovation when he allowed October 7th to happen in the first place. They knew about October 7th before it happened. They had an outline of the plan before it happened. And it took them at least 6 hours to even begin to try to stop it, as they carried out the Hannibal Directive on their own citizens. So why are you clapping for him as he says he's never going to allow it to happen again when he was the one who allowed it to happen?
The vast majority of Americans have not fallen for this Hamas propaganda. They continue to support Israel.
No,
and I want to
don't.
say thank you, America, and thank you, senators and House members who continue to support us,
That's
continue to support
actually
Israel,
not
continue
true.
to support the truth and see through the lies. But as for the minority that may have fallen for Hamas's cons job, I suggest you listen to Colonel John Spencer.
I suggest
John Spencer is head of urban warfare studies at West Point. He studied every major urban conflict.
Yeah, I suggest you not give me advice because I don't know what you have to say because you're a lying scumbag.
Has implemented more precautions to prevent civilian harm than any military in history and beyond what international law requires.
Oh my gosh, it's like a joke lie. These are like joke lies. These are joke lies. More than anyone in history. It's literally the opposite of reality.
The war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in
That's
the history of
not
urban
true.
warfare.
Again, another lie.
And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza?
Where's the lie fact checker?
In Rafah. In Rafah. Remember what so many people said? If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed.
There already have been.
Well, last week, I went into Rafah. I visited our troops as they finished fighting Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions. I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203.
Really? How come you haven't been able to provide any evidence for that? Where's the evidence that supposedly, when they keep saying that they got all these Hamas people? Where is your evidence that you've gotten any militants? It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Listen to this, Commander. It is an actual joke that they say we're the most moral army in the world. We've taken more precautions for civilians than anyone else in the world. It's an actual joke. It's literally everything he's saying, the opposite is true. Everything he's saying, the opposite is true.
Practically none, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot and unintentionally killed 24. The answer is practically none. You want to know why? Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way, something people said we could never do, but we...
Okay, that's a lie. But also, do you notice how convenient his lie is when he goes, the only time civilians were killed is when a bomb hit Hamas shrapnel and killed people. So actually, it wasn't even our bomb that did it. It was actually Hamas shrapnel, you know? Like, amazing how that works. How convenient. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's just amazing the amount of lies.
These heroes here today, the heroic soldiers should not be condemned for how they're conducting the war in Gaza. They should be commended for it.
Nope. Sorry, I don't commend war criminals.
I want to thank all of you here today
I don't
who forcefully
commend
opposed
people
the false
that kill
accusations of the
babies.
ICC and stood up for the truth. These lies are not only libelous, they're downright dangerous.
Of
The
course.
ICC is trying to shackle
Everything I
Israel's
don't
hands
like is
and prevent us from
libel.
defending ourselves. And if Israel's hands are tied, America is next. And I'll tell you what else is next.
Ah! Oh my gosh. First of all, I am so tired of hearing the defending ourselves routine. Okay. For the person in the comments who keeps making rude comments, you can get out. Also, I'm not answering your comment as you sit here all cheap and don't even send a super chat. I love when Zionists will be all cheapskate and come into my comments and demand that I answer their questions, but they're too cheap to even send a super chat. No. Hey, O'Day, thank you for the super chat. This is the ultimate son of a bitch ultra. Yeah, seriously. Oh my gosh. No, but I also love that he goes, this is my favorite part where he goes, America's next. You know, as I told you guys at the beginning of it, he's like, they're not after me. They're after you. He's trying to make Americans scared so that we will continue to do their dirty work for them. He wants us to continue to send bombs. He wants us to continue to send weapons, our tax dollars, and he wants us to continue to be scared of the lies that they tell about Iran. So in order to get Americans on board with that, they have to lie and say, they're not coming for us. They're coming for you, America. They're coming for you. Yeah. Yeah. That's what that made up propaganda is for.
The ability of all democracies to fight terrorism.
You're not a democracy.
That's what's on the line. So let me assure you, the hands of the Jewish state will never be shackled. Israel will always defend itself.
And also, I'm so tired of the we're just defending ourselves routine, as you are literally massacring people that are trapped in a cage who have no way to defend themselves. The Palestinians have no way to defend themselves. They are literally a besieged population in a cage with no way to escape, no way out, and no way to defend themselves. And yet, you guys, as the imperial aggressors, continue to slaughter them and then call it self-defense. This is upside down world. This is upside down world. There is nothing about this regime that is acting in self-defense. There is nothing about this regime that is self-defense.
My friends, in the Middle East, Iran is virtually behind all the terrorism, all the turmoil, all the chaos, all the killing.
This is all to try to get a war with Iran.
Ayatollah Khomeini pledged, we will export our revolution to the entire...
That's the reason why you heard him started out with, they're not after me, they're after you routine. That's why he did that. He did that because he wants to prime Americans to be okay with going to war with Iran. If they were to just come out and tell the truth and say, no, we're going to go to war with Iran because military industrial complex can make a lot of money off of it and the Israeli regime wants us to, most Americans would be like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. So in order to get Americans primed and manufacture consent to get us to be okay with the war with Iran, they have to lie and say that the attacks are actually about America and we need to be scared because they're coming for us. Iran is not a threat to us. We're a threat to Iran.
Entire world. We will export the Islamic revolution to the entire world. Now ask yourself.
Oh, kind of like
which country
that
ultimately
made-up
stands in the
video
way of
you
Iran's
guys
maniacal
made
plans
and put
to impose
online?
radical Islam on the world? And the answer is
This
clear.
reminds me of
It's
radical
America.
Islam. Okay, LMAO. I like how I'm so like what a throwback to 2005. Radical Islam. But I do like how he is being like, oh well, they're gonna try to export it all around the world as like a way to like try to like again scare you to make idiots think that Sharia law is coming to Oklahoma. It's so amazing.
Stands in the way of Iran's maniacal plans to impose radical Islam on the world. And the answer is clear. It's America, the guardian of Western civilization and the world's greatest power.
Guardians of Western civilization. LOL. No, we're actually a dying empire. That's actually what we are. Yeah, he is, Saeed. He's just hitting all the buzzwords. America is a dying empire. And one of the reasons why we're a dying empire is because, like, we're actually getting broke because we spent all of our money on our military and the military industrial complex and doing things like sending bombs to genocidal regimes. So, yeah. More like your maniacal plans, because he has maniacal plans for greater Israel, which is to, like, take over multiple countries in the Middle East. Yeah, we've been hearing about Iran getting weapons of mass destruction for like 30 years. Don't forget about that. They've been lying about Iran being able to get a nuclear weapon for decades. And when we finally had a plan in place that would make it so that Iran couldn't develop a nuclear weapon, the right wing came in and tore the deal apart as soon as Trump came into office.
That's why Iran sees America as its greatest enemy. Last month,
Iran sees America as its greatest enemy. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. I think you're making that up. And I think you're making that up because you want us to pay for your war.
Really, a revealing comment, ostensibly about the war in Gaza, but about something else. It came from the foreign minister of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, and he said this: "This is not a war with Israel. Israel," he said, "is merely a tool. The main war, the real war, is with America. Iran's regime has been fighting America from the moment it came to power. In 1979, it stormed the American embassy. It held scores of Americans hostage for 444 days. Since then, Iran's terrorist proxies have targeted."
The reason why Iran has a negative view of America is because we overthrew their government in, like, was it? I don't remember what year it was. Was it 53? Iran was a democracy and the CIA overthrew it. Why? Because Iran wanted to nationalize their oil and they wanted to keep their oil for their own citizens. And America, being the land of corporations, decided no, we wanted control over their oil resources. So we did a coup and overthrew their government and installed one of our puppet dictators.
Targeted America
as we've done all over the world.
In Beirut, they killed 241 U.S. servicemen. In Africa, they bombed American embassies. In Iraq, they supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of American soldiers. In America, they actually sent death squads. They sent death to murder a former Secretary of State and a former National Security Advisor. And as we recently learned,
this is
they
all
even brazenly
just
threatened
like
to assassinate President Trump.
and like,
but Iran understands
scare
that to truly challenge
in order
America,
to try to
it must
get
first conquer the Middle East.
America
And for
on
this,
board for war.
it uses its many proxies, including the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas.
Houthis
Yet in the heart of the Middle East,
Hezbollah
sitting in Iran's way,
Hamas.
is one proud pro-American democracy, my country, the state of Israel.
My country, the state of Pennsylvania.
That's why mobs in Tehran chant death to Israel before they chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first, America is next. So when Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran.
No. Listen, when they say death to America, okay, and they say that, they mean because of the fact that they mean the empire. I don't think that a lot of these, like, when he's saying this, again, they're talking a lot about the empire of the United States and the damage that we have done all over the world and the wars that we have propped up. Again, he is saying all this because he really wants us to go to war with Iran. And he wants us to pay for war with Iran.
And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America.
I don't think that people understand like how actually dangerous it would be for us to go to war with Iran. Iran is a massive country. Iran is a huge country. It is much bigger than Iraq and Afghanistan. The game that they're playing, trying to suck us into a war with Iran, is insane. You think that we're in debt now to the military-industrial complex.
To prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons.
Yeah, okay.
Nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from. We're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you.
Lie. Embarrassing. He's the embarrassing guy going, yeah!
My friends, if you remember one thing from the speech, remember this. Our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight. And our victory will be your victory.
See? There it is. There it is. That's the whole point of the speech. He just even said it. He said, if you remember one thing from the speech, remember this. Our war is your war. Our enemies are your enemies. That was the real thing that he just admitted he wanted to get across in this speech. He really wanted to get across in this speech that America's enemies are the same as the Israeli regime, and that the wars that the Israeli regime wants to carry out are the same as wars America should be fighting. That was the point. That was the real point of the speech. It was to remind us and to tell us that we need to stand with them and support their wars and support their regime and be scared and say that their enemies are our enemies and we need to be scared. And thus, because we need to be scared because they're our enemies, we need to give them more money for their wars. That was the whole thing. That was the whole speech. And he even just admitted it, that it was the most important part of his speech that he wanted us to remember. I just think it's really important that everybody understands that that's exactly what he's doing when they start telling us that we need to go to war for them. Not a single American should go to war for this regime. Not one.
Ladies and gentlemen, that victory is in sight. Israel's defeat of Hamas
No, it's not.
will be a powerful blow to Iran's axis of terror. Another part of that axis, Hezbollah, attacked Israel on October 8th, the day after
Axis of terror. That one has been around for a while, since like 2004.
80,000 of our citizens in northern Israel evacuated their homes, becoming effectively refugees in their own land. We are committed to returning them home. We prefer to achieve this diplomatically. But let me be clear. Israel will do whatever it must do to restore security.
Oh, now all of a sudden you believe in the right to return. Oh, amazing. A fugitive speaking before Congress. True. He's literally a fugitive. There are like warrants out for his arrest. Literally.
To our northern border and return our people safely to their homes. Last Friday, a third Iranian proxy, the Houthis, attacked Tel Aviv with a deadly drone. It exploded a few hundred feet from the American consulate, killing one person and injuring 9. On Saturday, I authorized a swift response to that attack. All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price. And as we defend ourselves...
with American tax dollars.
And as we defend ourselves on all fronts, I know that America has our back. And I thank you for it. All sides of the aisle. Thank you.
No, you mean that Congress has your back.
My friends, for decades, America has provided Israel with generous military assistance, and a grateful Israel has provided America with critical intelligence that saved many lives. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth. I choose my words.
If they're that sophisticated, then why do you keep killing civilians with them? Sean Boots, first, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for the memberships, whoever gifted it. It was Saeed M. in our member section gifted a bunch of memberships, like 20 memberships. So thank you, Saeed, for gifting those memberships. Yes, I did. I filmed a lot at the protest. I will upload it later. I just haven't had a chance because I had to spend I was spending the morning making content about Kamala Harris's ridiculous statement. I don't know if you guys saw the insane statement that she put out. But I was making content this morning. I made a video about Kamala Harris's ridiculous statement attacking us protesters yesterday. And I put that on TikTok. So if you don't follow me on TikTok already, follow me there. It's also on X. Follow me there. Yeah. And then I was doing some research and some reading But I told everybody that I will put the videos that I posted that are also on Instagram and TikTok on YouTube when I get a chance. But I knew I also needed to go over this speech full of lies. Yeah, glad we know that you believe in the right to return now all of a sudden.
Carefully. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on Earth that help protect both our countries.
Again, if they're so sophisticated, then how come you guys keep bombing children?
While protecting our shared interest in the Middle East.
Shared interest in the Middle East, that's telling. Shared interest.
I deeply appreciate America's support, including in this current war. This is an exceptional moment. Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza and help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines.
Stop comparing it to World War II. This is ridiculous. I'm serious. Like, stop comparing it to World War II. This is ridiculous. I hope that those listening that are living in other countries that are not the United States know that the only reason why he has support is because of our corrupt ass government. Our government is so corrupt. It's ridiculous. We live in a democracy in name only. They don't represent us. They don't represent us. The truth is, there are more and more people every single day that oppose this regime in the United States than support it. And many who don't oppose it, it's only because they don't know what the hell is going on. If anything, there are more Americans that don't even know what's going on than there are that support the Israeli regime. Because to be honest, and I'm sure a lot of people know this already, a lot of Americans are really dumb. Or they don't pay attention. They watch reality TV. They care about celebrity culture. They pay attention to Taylor Swift and the Kardashians. They're not paying attention to what's happening in Israel and Gaza. They don't have any idea. They couldn't find Gaza on a map. So that's the reality, honestly, of a lot of what's happening in the United States. It's not that people support the Israeli regime. It's that they're not paying attention. But a lot of people are paying attention. So I'm not trying to smear all my fellow Americans here. I'm not, and also I'm not even smearing the Americans that like pop culture. Like, a lot of Americans are paying attention to what's happening. And a lot of Americans who are paying attention are like me, and they oppose this regime. The reason why it seems like more people support the regime is because it's those who have power that do. Our government doesn't listen to us. Our government doesn't care what we think, as clearly shown in this video with all of them clapping like seals. Them just sitting there, the drones that they are, sitting there like robots, just clapping like simps to this war criminal. Our government is corrupt as hell. Our government does not represent the people. Our government are a bunch of bribed hacks. And they're the ones that support the regime. Unfortunately, it seems like they have more support than they do because the people that do support the Israeli regime in the United States, they're the ones with the power. They're the ones with the money. The people that support the regime are the rich ones, are the corporations and the billionaires and Congress because they're paid to. Congress only supports them because they're paid to. But like regular everyday Americans, most of us do not. So let's just be clear about that.
Of civilization. Winston Churchill appealed to Americans.
Please stop talking about civilization as though you're civilized.
Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization,
be
I too
so
appeal
for
to
real.
America. Give us the tools faster, and we'll finish the job faster.
Give us the tools faster, and we'll finish the job faster? What are you even talking about? Look at this welfare bum. Begging, demanding more of our money. Have we not given you enough? Have we not given you enough money? Have we not given you enough money? Have we not given you enough bombs? And this welfare bum is standing in our Congress demanding more money to finish the job. You're really out here begging with your hand out for more money from us. So you can finish the job, which again is purposely vague. It's purposely vague. It's not about getting rid of Hamas. They do not care about that. It was Netanyahu who worked to ensure that Qatar kept giving Hamas money. He doesn't care about that at all. He just wants to take the rest of the Palestinians' land. They are AIPAC lapdogs, correct.
My dear friends, the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages.
Oh, that's another lie. That's another lie. He just said the war in Gaza could be ended tomorrow if Hamas would surrender and return the hostages. Well, we know that's a lie. Because the governments who have been working with Hamas have said over and over and over again that they want a ceasefire deal and that they will return all the hostages. And he has said no. Netanyahu has rejected every single ceasefire deal. And he's also said that it won't be over until they eradicate Hamas, which he says because he knows it's an unrealistic goal that can't really be achieved. He knows that you can't just eradicate an ideology. You can't eradicate a resistance group. You can try to kill as many of them as you want, but there's just going to be more that join. And he knows that. He knows that. But he says it's not going to be over until we eradicate Hamas, which he doesn't really plan on doing. And he knows is not a realistic goal, but he says it because he wants to finish the job, as in he wants to push them into the Sinai and steal the rest of their land so that him and his crooked ass friends like Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, can build beachfront properties on Gaza's water. As Jared Kushner actually said out loud. In fact, I think Jared Kushner was either at Harvard or it was at MIT, his alma mater, Benjamin Netanyahu's alma mater, where he said that. So they're actually saying the quiet part out loud. They're actually saying the quiet part out loud. So let's just be very clear about that. When he says this war could be over tomorrow, this genocide could be over tomorrow if Hamas surrendered and returned the hostages, you know it's a lie because they've rejected ceasefire deal after ceasefire deal after ceasefire deal and said that they're not going to stop until they get every last Hamas member, which they know is not a realistic goal. So you know he's lying. Just a few days ago, I was driving listening to Hins Hall, and the Israeli police stopped me for 3.5 hours. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, O'Day. O'Day, first of all, thank you again for the super chat, O'Day. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate all of your support. All of you guys who send me super chats and support my work and support my channel, and everything that, my content that I make and stuff. I appreciate you so much. But I'm so sorry to hear that, O'Day. That's so scary. And they call it a democracy? They regularly, what O'Day pointed out here is something that they do on the regular to Palestinians. I want everybody who's watching this to understand that, and for Americans to understand that truth. What they do to Palestinians on a daily basis is what O'Day is describing here. They will pull them over or stop them at checkpoints when they did nothing wrong. And they'll harass them and they'll hold them for hours, interrogating them when they did nothing wrong but exist. And then they will threaten to arrest them. And a lot of times, thank God O'Day didn't get arrested. Thank God O'Day didn't get arrested. But you know how many Palestinians have been arrested for nothing? They'll arrest Palestinians and hold them without even charging them. They will hold them in their prisons without even charging them. They've got tens of thousands of Palestinian hostages in their prisons that are being held without charge. And if you do not know this information, Google it, look it up. It is a fact. And they've been doing this for years to them. Yeah. Multiple times. And they stop Palestinians and they interrogate them and dehumanize them and humiliate them just as they're doing something as simple as driving and listening to music in a democracy. That's what an apartheid state is. That is the reason why Americans need to stand with the Palestinian people. if you are an American, you need to stand with the Palestinian people, because so many of the Palestinian people cannot defend themselves. Because, ironically, Benjamin Netanyahu loves to say things like, oh, we're just trying to defend ourselves. The Palestinians are oppressed, and they have no way to defend themselves against the IOF stopping them for no reason, arresting them without charge, putting them in prison and holding them as hostages with no charges. And if they do charge them, they'll take them to military courts instead of civilian courts. They're treated like animals. They're put in an apartheid state where they're not even able to drive on the same roads as Israelis. And then the leader comes to our Congress and lies and calls Palestinians everything that they do. They call Palestinians terrorists, and they say that they're criminals and they're barbarians and all these lies. And Palestinians often cannot speak up for themselves because they might get killed or arrested by the regime. So long as we have freedom of speech in this country, and I know they're trying to crack down on it. I know they're trying to crack down on our freedom of speech right now. But so long as we have it, all of us need to be speaking up for the Palestinians, because they are the group that are not allowed to have freedom of speech and speak up for themselves right now. It is our responsibility as Americans to do that. About human rights.
If they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home.
LOL.
That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less.
What the fuck up?
The day after we defeat Hamas, a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza.
What does
Israel
that
will not seek
mean?
to resettle Gaza, but for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Endless apartheid state. Endless apartheid state. Did you hear that? He said, for the day after, we must maintain security control over Gaza to make sure October 7th doesn't happen again. First of all, October 7th is on you, boo. That's on you, boo. Why don't you should be punished for what happened on October 7th, not the Palestinian civilians. Why do the Palestinian civilians get punished with more security? Because you failed. You failed to protect the Israelis on October 7th. So why do they get to get punished for it? That's number one. And when he says security control, he means permanent occupation. He means permanent occupation.
And de-radicalize Gaza. Israel does not seek to
also de-radicalize? What does that mean? You're just going to keep torturing them? I actually think that you're the one that needs to be de-radicalized, because I've heard some of the things that your people have said that are living in Israel. All you have to do is go online, go on any social media app, and watch some of the things that the Israelis in Israel say about the Palestinians. The dehumanizing language that they use when talking about them, and the way that they talk about them like they're animals. That sounds to me like someone who needs to be de-radicalized. The Palestinians talk about wanting their freedom, which they deserve. We should not, will not, and cannot accept a permanently occupied Gaza. Because let me tell you this, even if you are a pro-Israeli regime simp, there will never be peace so long as you hold them in slavery like that. There will never be peace, even if you are only concerned with Israeli security and the safety of Israelis. You will never have peace so long as you have your boot on the neck of another population. The Palestinians will never stop resisting their oppression, which they have every right to do under international law. Under international law, they have every right to resist the occupation and resist their oppression, and they will never stop fighting for their freedom. They will never stop resisting their oppression. So de-radicalize them from wanting to resist their oppression? No, they will never stop doing that. And they have every right to keep doing that. I think we need to maybe talk to you about de-radicalization, actually. And no one should accept their permanent occupation of Gaza. No.
Gaza. But for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
No. That shit might have worked.
Gaza should have a civilian administration run by Palestinians who do not seek to destroy Israel. That's not too much to ask. It's a fundamental thing that we have a right to demand and to receive.
He just said we have a right to ask, and it's not too much to ask that we see Palestinians whose goal it's not to destroy Israel. It's just really funny because I never hear Palestinians talking about the regime in those terms. All I ever really hear them talk about is wanting their freedom. They want their freedom. They want to stop the oppression. They want to stop getting slaughtered. They want to stop being treated like animals. I never see Palestinians just sitting around talking about how they just want to destroy the Israeli regime. No, they talk about wanting their land back. They talk about wanting to be free from the choking oppression of the regime. He makes that up, and he says that because it justifies their oppression to them. You can justify your oppression if you're, quote unquote, fighting for your survival.
A new generation of Palestinians must no longer be taught to hate Jews, but rather to live in peace with us. Those twin words, demilitarization and de-radicalization, those two concepts were applied to Germany and Japan after World War II.
Oh my gosh. Again, bringing up World War II. De-radicalization were applied after World War II. First of all, again, for the 50,000th time, this is not anything like what happened in World War II. Like literally nothing. Totally different circumstances. Anyone who compares this to what happened in World War II should be laughed out of the room. You should laugh in their face. Also, I do find it really rich that he's saying Palestinians are taught to hate Jewish people when I see video after video after video of people being indoctrinated into thinking of Palestinians as subhuman. I watched the documentary Israelism from a perspective of a Jewish girl who talked about how she was taught from the cradle not to view Palestinians as equals. Do you really want to talk about de-radicalization?
War II, and that led to decades of peace, prosperity, and security. Following our victory, with the help of regional partners, the demilitarization and de-radicalization of Gaza can also lead to a future of security.
I also like how he says
that's my vision for Gaza.
Demilitarization as though Gaza has a military. Bro, you're the one with the Fort Knox military. You're the one that has an insane military. Gaza doesn't have a military. Gaza doesn't have an army. Gaza doesn't have an airport. Gaza doesn't control its own electricity. What do you mean demilitarize? That literally makes no sense.
Now here's my vision for the broader Middle East.
It's also
shaped in part by what we saw in the aftermath of World War II. After that war, America forged a security alliance in Europe to counter the growing Soviet threat. Likewise, America and Israel today can forge a security alliance in the Middle East to counter the growing Iranian threat. All countries that are at peace with Israel, and all those countries who will make peace with Israel should be invited to join this alliance. We saw a glimpse of that potential alliance on April 14th. Led by the United States, more than half a dozen nations worked alongside Israel to help neutralize hundreds of missiles and drones launched by Iran against us.
No one is going to sign on. Again, this is all just bullshit. Because if you really wanted peace in the Middle East, as you keep talking about, it's just delusional. You really think that you're going to create peace in the Middle East as you oppress 2 million people. Like, that's not a thing. Hold on.
The new alliance I envision would be a natural extension of the groundbreaking Abraham Accords. Those accords saw peace forged between Israel and 4 Arab countries, and they were supported by Republicans and Democrats alike. We could call, I have a name for the new alliance. I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords. Like Americans, Israelis were relieved that President Trump emerged safe and sound from that dastardly attack on him, dastardly attack on American democracy. There is no room for political violence in democracies. I also want to thank President Trump for all the things he did for Israel, from recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, to confronting Iran's aggression, to recognizing Jerusalem as our capital and moving the American embassy there. That's Jerusalem, our eternal capital, never to be divided again. My dear friends, Democrats and Republicans, despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide. And against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland. We built a powerful and vibrant democracy, a democracy that pushes the boundaries of innovation for the betterment of all humanity. I'm hopeful about America because I'm hopeful about Americans. I know how much the people of this country have sacrificed to defend.
Shut up. Okay, what'd I miss? Sorry, guys, I had to pee. What'd I miss? Yeah, seriously, we thought we controlled our own government. Yeah, that's a good point, Methodic. The Israeli regime is losing a lot of investors, and there are companies shutting down there because of their toxic, because it's a pariah state. And so this is also him making his pitch to like investors and companies to be like, no, please bring your business back here. Blech. Okay.
Freedom. America will continue to be a force for life. My dear friends, Democrats and Republicans, despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide. And against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland. We built a powerful and vibrant democracy, a democracy that pushes the boundaries of innovation for the betterment of all humanity. I'm hopeful about America because I'm hopeful about Americans. I know how much the people of this country have sacrificed to defend freedom.
Back to that, I heard him kissing Trump's ass and being like, "Thank you, Trump, for moving the embassy." Okay. Yeah, that's a good reminder that also Trump is a hack. They're all hacks. Everybody always acts like people who like Trump, like he's so badass, you know, like he really fights the powers that be. People are afraid of him because he's not constrained by the establishment. Nope, wrong. He bows to the Israeli regime and Netanyahu just like all the rest of them. He's no different.
America will continue to be a force for light and good in a dark and dangerous world. For free peoples everywhere, America remains the beacon of liberty its extraordinary founders envisioned back in 1776.
I don't know, man. You're pretty dark. You're pretty dark. A lot of dark.
Working together, I'm confident that our two nations will vanquish the tyrants and terrorists who threaten us both. As Israel's Prime Minister, I promise you this: no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the road ahead, Israel will not relent. Israel will not bend. We will defend our land. We will defend our people. We will fight until we achieve victory. Victory over liberty, rather victory of liberty over tyranny, victory of life over death, victory of good over evil. That's our solemn commitment. Wow. And we will continue to work with the United States and our Arab partners to transform a troubled region from a backwater of repression, poverty, and war into a thriving oasis of dignity, prosperity, and peace. In this noble mission, as in many others, Israel will always remain America's indispensable
prosperity and peace. Get the fuck out of here. You can't talk about prosperity and peace as you literally and oppress 2 million people.
In good times and in bad, Israel will always be your loyal friend and your steadfast partner.
I don't want you to be a friend.
I came here today to say thank you, America. Thank you for your support and solidarity. Thank you for standing in Israel with Israel in our hour of need. Together we shall defend our common civilization. Together we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations.
I just love how he keeps saying civilization is like he's civilized. May God bless Israel, may God bless
America, and may God bless the great alliance between Israel and America forever.
Yeah. Right. Because civilized people sick dogs on people with mental disabilities, like your IOF did. That's what civilized people do. Oh my gosh. Ugh, that was so nauseating. Not surprising though. They're disgusting, clapping like seals. Wow, what a vile piece of shit. Total sociopath, war criminal. Total war criminal. He actually really should be in jail. Like, why is he allowed to just like roam free? Like, there's a warrant out for your arrest, bro. You've broken international law. It's amazing. Wow. Ugh, he's so disgusting. He really is vile. In the way that he tried to insult us, please. Like him actually having the nerve to insult us. Him actually having the nerve to insult us, the protesters. Embarrassing. That whole thing was just packed full of lies. Just packed full of lies. It was amazing, honestly. How many lies? That's the question. How many times can you losers, you traitors to America, stand there and clap for this war criminal? How many times can you do it? And how many lies can one genocidal monster tell in one speech? And again, you are delusional if you think, oh, there's my stream. You're delusional if you think that you are going to have peace in the Middle East and negotiations with other surrounding Arab states as you continue to oppress 2 million people. That's just delusional. But you heard him. He wants a permanent occupation of Gaza. A permanent occupation.